Are Megadeth actually better than Metallica? Have we metalheads been gaslit into oblivion by Metallica's unrivaled popularity and album sales? Today we answer all those questions and more. And if you find yourself getting triggered by the things that I'm saying in this video, because I bet a lot of you will, please stick around until the end where I make my final conclusion. Alright, so these two legends have forever been up against one another and compared, whether fairly or unfairly. While they both play thrash metal, their styles of music completely differ and they don't really sound like each other at all. Without a doubt, Megadeth's music is much more complex than Metallica's, with a tendency to change up the same riff multiple times in a song, layer riffs on top of one another, and play with more unconventional riff and rhythm structure, while Metallica tend to keep similar song structure throughout the whole track. For clarity, we can compare what is considered to be each band's opus, Master of Puppets and Holy Wars. As we can see with Holy Wars, Dave chooses to break that main riff up with a melodic interlude, but then heads right back into that main riff with an unexpected stop on a dime badass heavy riff. But when we look at Master of Puppets, we don't see that same mix-up. They're gonna keep that same riff for a consistent amount of time. There's just not much variation to it. This comparison shows the difference in approach between these two bands. And even if we look at the songs Dave wrote off of Kill 'Em All, they stand out as much different sounding than the other tracks on that legendary first album. A quick listen to Phantom Lord or Jump in the Fire compared to Whiplash is really all you need to understand the difference in Dave's songwriting. But does this alone make Megadeth better than Metallica? Let's take a look at the musicians each band has offered to us. Of course, you have Kirk Hammett, who's been the mainstay of Metallica since 1983. I personally think Kirk is a great guitarist and gets a whole lot of hate from the metal community, myself included, but has done a great job at writing some of metal's most famous and memorable songs. But when compared to some of Megadeth's greats like Chris Poland, Friedman, and now Laredo, he just doesn't stack up. Friedman's phrasing and the way he brings beauty to the music he's playing is unmatched in metal history. And we haven't even mentioned Chris Broderick, who is a legend in his own right and made a huge impact on Megadeth's album Endgame in 2009. So this one definitely goes to Megadeth. No matter what anyone says, the level of musicianship has always been much higher in Megadeth than in Metallica. This is undeniable. Kirk is a good guitarist, but he just doesn't compare to the beauty and unique styles that Kiko or Marty or Chris Poland ever brought to the band. And for rhythm, I can't say whether Dave is truly better than James or not. Their styles are so different from one another. Each is uniquely legendary. And if I had to make a list, they would be 1A and 1B in the history of metal guitarists, with each switching up that A and B spot depending on how I feel that day. And let's be honest, I don't really need to get into the drumming on this one. I think we can all answer that truthfully and honestly for ourselves. And when it comes to vocals, honestly, you have to give it to Metallica. Hands down. I personally love Dave Mustaine's vocal delivery. It's never been a problem for me. But James' delivery is so legendary and vicious. I feel like generations of musicians have been influenced by his signature yeah. But who writes better songs? Of course, you can point to the popularity of Metallica and claim that they write better songs because more people listen to and enjoy them. But I think any person trained in music can see that just because Megadeth aren't as popular, their songwriting is every bit as tenacious and awe-inspiring as Metallica's greatest hits. It just happens to be more abrasive and technical, which makes it harder for the average person to understand or digest or even enjoy. That's like saying Enter Sandman is a better song than Ghost Reveries just because more people listen to it. And I pray for the poor soul who ever says that in any metal circle. Alright, it's time to stick to the facts here. Without a doubt, Megadeth is faster and more technical, and definitely has the more pure and better musicians throughout its history. But does that actually make them a better band? What actually makes a band better than another? I hate to admit it, but it all comes down to personal preference. Metallica and Megadeth are the two greatest metal bands of all time, and to argue about which one is better is a futile effort because music taste is... God, I hate to admit this. Music taste is subjective. As much as I love to shit on music I don't like, there isn't truly a way to define why it sucks ass. And let's just be honest, only Megadeth fans really care about this question. I never hear Metallica fans overdosing on copium trying to figure out if Metallica is better than Megadeth. So what's your personal preference? Do you prefer Megadeth or do you prefer Metallica? I'd love to hear about it down below, and I'd love to hear if maybe I'm missing something that can indeed prove objectively which band is better. And I'm all about it. If you can objectively point to why Megadeth is better than Metallica, dude, I'm all about it. My mind changes when the facts change. Anyway, thank you for sticking around. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say down below. And of course, we'll see you next week on the heaviest show in the universe. Long live metal.